Hi, it's Dre Griggs of Obsidian Wisdom. Today we discuss true retirement. It's about more than just quitting a job. In this video, we'll discuss what true retirement really means and why most people miss it. If you're just focusing on the idea that once I have my money right, I can start working, then you have half of it right. It's about a lot more than just money. We'll explore how to create a plan that not only supports your financial goals, but it supports your health goals, it supports your overall life goals, so that you're able to live a lifestyle that actually matches all of the dreams that you've ever had. Dare I say, when you close your eyes and you think about retirement, are you just thinking about the fact that you have the money, or are you thinking about the fact that you can wake up whenever you want? Are you thinking about traveling? Are you thinking about being debt free? Sure. But what are you doing with your time after that, right? After you pay off all the bills, what are we doing from that point forward? Are you spending time with family? Are you reading a good book? Are you going on walks? Are you volunteering? What does that look like for you when you start visualizing and dreaming about your overall retirement? Because most of us are just thinking about the fact that, hey, I get to quit work. We don't necessarily allow ourselves to really dream like we used to when we were kids and we would just imagine all these amazing and cool things that we would get to do. What does your retirement look like for you? Go ahead and leave in the comments what the first thing you think you would like to do with your time once you purchase it all back in retirement. I remember working with someone that wasn't really financially worried about retirement. They had a pension, they had the money set aside, but they really just didn't feel like they were enjoying themselves. And it's one of those weird things that sometimes we think we're retiring from a job, but we're actually retiring from everything. We're retiring from all that life has to offer. Ultimately, what we ended up doing is we sat down and we just started mapping out what an ideal day would look like. And what you're really going to do is you would sit there and say, like, what time do I want to wake up? What type of people do I want to be around? What places do I want to see? And you start just going through some of these things. What skills would I like to learn? What causes would I like to support? And we really just start thinking about what my life looks like. And whenever I meet someone that's really stuck, where we're talking about what we do with our time and they really don't have anything in mind, they really had let go of really everything. They retired from all of life. Normally, we'll start with our core values because if we're able to figure out our core values, then normally what we'll do is we'll just have a conversation and you start talking about some things that generally kind of keep coming up. And I know for me, if you talk to me, I talk a lot about freedom and flexibility. I talk about being consistent and authentic. I spend a lot of time talking about family and my faith. So when you start looking at these values, you could then say, I bet Dre would enjoy doing something with his family. And then we can talk about doing something with my family. You can say, I think Dre likes adventure, right? He does Spartan races. And you can say, hey, would you like to go on this adventure? And we can really start saying, all right, well, based on our core values, if relationships is high on our core value, then we could spend a decent amount of time finding clubs that you can join and places you can volunteer where you get to meet people and build these relationships up. If it's something like wisdom, like I'm always talking about wisdom, then maybe that means that we spend a little bit of time reading some kind of cool books, or we go to history clubs, or we there's so many things that we can do to really hone in on our core values. That for me, at least my experience, I found that whenever we feel a little, I would say, uneasy about things, more times than not, we're compromising on one of our core values, right? That's just me. That's my personal experience. You might say, well, Dre, it's something else. That's totally fine. I'm just simply saying for me and my experiences, more times than not, we're compromising on a core value. We are sacrificing something that means more to us than what we're getting. And because the idea of a sacrifice is we're sacrificing for something better. If I sacrifice my time early in my career, then I expect to get promoted later in my career. If I sacrifice time going to college and getting a degree, I expect to generate an income from that advanced degree that offsets that sacrifice. That if we're sacrificing, we expect to gain something in return. And a lot of the times, what we're thinking is, I'm going to quit and then everything's going to be rainbows and Skittles. Everything's not rainbows and Skittles. And sometimes when you're looking at retirement, it's not the end, it's a transition. It's the next chapter. It's the next journey. It's my next goal. And if that is financial freedom, then great. That's a fantastic place to start. But once we have financial freedom, what is it that we want to do with our freedom? What makes life meaningful for us? Is it my faith? Is it my family? Is it learning or adventure? Is it supporting causes I believe in? What is it that brings meaning to your life? And as you start building your retirement, that next better chapter, because you have all the time freedom, that if we have the time freedom, but we don't know what to do with our time, we start feeling a little bit lost. And everybody doesn't enjoy retirement. And sometimes it's because we have all the finances under control, but we have none of the fulfillment under control. We don't have a vision for what joy looks like in retirement, what happiness looks like in retirement. And so I would encourage you to spend some time on that. And normally what I'll have people do is we'll just write out 50 goals, just 50 things that you would love to do, places you want to go, people you want to meet, things you want to support, things you want to learn, all of that stuff. And then we'll start organizing them with your short-term, your medium-term, and long-term goals. Short-term is normally going to be a year or less. Normally in that medium-term, it can be 3 to 6 years. And then anything over 10 years is normally going to be our long-term goals. Ideally, we met early enough where we can put a plan in place that is 10 to 20 years, and it gives us all the time we need to make sure we accomplish all the goals. Now, sometimes what ends up happening is you've already been taking steps in the right direction. So it's not as much that you're starting from zero, as that we're trying to make it more efficient of a retirement plan, which I love doing that. In fact, if you are someone that would be interested in just really getting in tune with what your retirement and the retirement lifestyle, your overall retirement plan will look like, I want to invite you every single Wednesday. I'm going to start doing a live workshop on the 5 risks to a successful retirement and 3 quick solutions to help you fix that immediately. And I'm going to put a link in the show notes for you. It's going to be every single Wednesday. It is limited to 100 people. That's just how much fit in the Zoom room. And so it's going to be limited to 100 people. We'll go through that. And I think it'll give you a very clear understanding. One of the cool bonuses is you have a free wealthy retirement planner access. And you'll be able to, if you've ever seen me build a case study retirement plan, it gives you access to that. So you can start putting some of the numbers in there and you can see what your overall retirement plan looks like. And so ultimately, true retirement is not about quitting a job. It's about having an income plan, ensuring that you don't run out of money, that you're able to generate income for the rest of your life. Where are your income streams coming from? We know that 65% of self-made millionaires have at least 3 streams of income. And most of the time you'll access those 3 streams through investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, or investing in your own personal business. What 3 streams are you going to put in your retirement plan to ensure that you don't run out of money at any point in your retirement? We then need to put a healthcare plan in place. What is the point of retiring and having all of our time, but we don't have any of our health to enjoy the time? So we need to put that plan in place. Is that walking more? Is that eating healthier? Is that going to the doctor a little bit more often than once every 10 years? I'm talking to myself. I do plan on going more often. My wife tries to reel me in. But what are we doing to ensure that we have our health when we have all of our time? And that could be as simple as going on a walk. It could be meditation. It could be just kicking out annoying and stressful people from your life. It could be making a shift in your overall career that's kind of killing you and you feel like it's really stressing you out a lot. What are we going to do? Because if we're sacrificing our health for the money, we'll have all the money, but then what will we do? We'll try to buy back our health. Ideally, when you have the plan in place, you're not sacrificing something that you would spend the money to buy back. I don't want that for any of you. You don't want to buy back your health because we sacrificed it. It almost makes it a little bit more expensive to buy back later. You don't want to sacrifice any relationships with people that you love and want in your life for the rest of your life. Because what you'll end up doing is you'll take the money to try to buy back that relationship, and that's not a guarantee that that option will be on the table. For others, they want to protect their family, where estate planning and legacy building and generational wealth is very important to them. Well, that is not just about giving the money. That's why 75% of professional athletes are broke within 3 years of retirement. That's why people who win the lottery are broke within 3 years of winning the lottery. That's why generational wealth is traditionally gone by the 3rd generation. It's not that we just give the money and then everybody's happy. That's not how it works. Ultimately, better self, better wealth. Who we are dictates how much money we get to keep. And that's why for me, when I'm always describing the idea of becoming a millionaire, it's less about the money and more about who we have to become to be the millionaire. I would love for everyone to become the millionaire so that they get to keep the money. Because if we don't become a millionaire, eventually we revert back to the lifestyle and the understanding that we have. And so that's why people who win the lottery, they have a lifestyle and a mindset of $50,000 a year before that. And that's why after they have the $1 million, they lose it all and they revert back to the exact same lifestyle that they knew. And that's also why you might find a rich person who files for bankruptcy. They made a bad business decision, but they aren't that bad business decision. And they're able to rebuild and reestablish themselves and to build the wealth back from zero or even from negative, because they are that type of a person. That's who they are. That's the relationship they have with money and how they interact and make those decisions. And that's ultimately where the idea of wisdom comes into place. And so when you have a plan in place, you're able to take that step back and say, not only am I quitting because I'm focused on having all of my time back, but I've already spent enough time figuring out my health, figuring out my income streams, figuring out my lifestyle, and figuring out my purpose to ensure that I'm enjoying my retirement. Because quitting is the easy part. Believe you me, that's the easiest part. The hard part is to stay retired. The hard part is to find the purpose and enjoyment and fulfillment. And the hard part is to really be able to enjoy that next chapter, to allow that next chapter to be the best chapter, as it should be. Anytime we purchase all of our financial freedom, that should lead us into the best part of our lives. And I want that for you. As always, I'm Dre Griggs with Obsidian Wisdom. I'm thankful for the time that we have together. I appreciate you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll respond to them. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy life.